the secret U.S. military base, hidden inside a mountain. For decades, hidden deep inside a solid granite mountain in Colorado, the United States built one of the most secure military facilities on Earth, a place designed for the end of the world, a place where military officers prepared for nuclear war, a place protected by massive blast doors, underground tunnels, emergency power systems, and enough supplies to survive complete chaos above ground. Most people know it by one name, Cheyenne Mountain. But what really happens inside this secretive underground complex? Why did the U.S. government spend millions of dollars building an entire military city inside a mountain? And if the Cold War ended decades ago, why is this place still active today? Because according to military officials, the threat never truly disappeared. To understand why this underground fortress exists, we need to go back to one of the most dangerous periods in human history, the Cold War. After World War II ended, the United States and the Soviet Union became global rivals. Both nations were armed with nuclear weapons, and both feared the other could launch a surprise attack at any moment. Throughout the 1950s, the fear of nuclear war spread across America. People built bomb shelters in their backyards, schools held nuclear attack drills, and military leaders knew that if a Soviet missile strike ever happened, America needed a command center that could survive long enough to coordinate a response. A normal military building would never survive a direct nuclear attack. So the U.S. military began searching for something stronger, much stronger. That search eventually led them to a giant granite mountain near Colorado Springs, Colorado. Cheyenne Mountain. Military planners believed the mountain's solid rock could provide natural protection against nuclear blasts. And soon, the government approved an ambitious plan. They would build a military fortress inside the mountain itself. Construction officially began in 1961, and it was unlike anything America had ever attempted before. Workers blasted deep tunnels into the granite using hundreds of tons of explosives. Massive amounts of rock were removed from the mountain. Day after day, engineers slowly carved out giant underground chambers hidden beneath thousands of feet of solid stone. The project became one of the most advanced military construction operations in American history. By the time construction was completed, more than 693,000 tons of granite had been excavated. Inside the mountain, the military created an underground complex covering more than 5 acres. 15 separate buildings were built inside the hidden chambers. But here's what made the facility even more incredible. The buildings were not directly attached to the mountain walls. Instead, many of them were mounted on giant steel springs. Why? Because if a nuclear blast shook the mountain, the springs could absorb part of the shock wave. The entire base was literally designed to survive nuclear war. Huge blast doors protected the entrances. Some of these doors weighed more than 20 tons. And once sealed, the underground complex could isolate itself from the outside world. The facility also contained its own water supply, its own power systems, its own air filtration systems. Even if radioactive fallout covered the surface above, the people inside Cheyenne Mountain could continue operating underground. By 1966, the complex officially became operational, and soon it became one of the most important military facilities in North America. The underground base served as a command center for NORAD, the North American Aerospace Defense Command. NORAD was responsible for monitoring the skies over North America. Its mission was simple: detect incoming threats before it was too late. Inside the mountain, military officers watched radar systems 24 hours a day. They tracked aircraft, missiles, and eventually objects in space. During the Cold War, the fear of a surprise Soviet nuclear attack was constant. Every strange radar signal had to be investigated. Every unknown aircraft had to be identified. And every second mattered. If enemy missiles were detected, NORAD would immediately alert military leaders and the President of the United States. The people working inside Cheyenne Mountain carried enormous responsibility, because one mistake could trigger global disaster. And at several moments during the Cold War, the world came terrifyingly close. One of the scariest incidents happened in 1979. Inside NORAD systems, computers suddenly showed what appeared to be a massive Soviet nuclear missile attack. Warning screens lit up. Emergency procedures began. Military bombers prepared for possible launch. The United States believed nuclear war might have already started. But there was one problem. The attack was not real. A training tape had accidentally been loaded into the military computer system. For several terrifying minutes, America believed thousands of nuclear missiles were heading toward the country. Then, in 1980, another false alarm happened. Again, warning systems indicated incoming Soviet missiles. Again, military officials rushed to confirm the threat. And once again, the alert turned out to be false. This time, the problem was reportedly caused by a failed computer chip. Incidents like these revealed something frightening. Human civilization depended on machines, radar systems, and split-second decisions, and all of it was happening deep inside Cheyenne Mountain. As the Cold War continued, the underground complex became legendary. To many Americans, it symbolized survival, the final defense center if nuclear war ever erupted. Hollywood also became fascinated with the secretive bunker. Movies and television shows used Cheyenne Mountain as inspiration for fictional military command centers. Its mysterious underground tunnels captured the imagination of millions. Some people even believed the government was hiding far more inside the mountain than officials admitted. Conspiracy theories exploded across America. Rumors claimed the facility stored alien technology. Others believed secret experiments were happening underground. Some people even connected Cheyenne Mountain to UFO sightings. But despite the rumors, much of the real facility remained highly classified. The military revealed only limited details to the public, and that secrecy only increased public curiosity. But the truth is, the real operations inside Cheyenne Mountain were already intense enough. Workers inside the complex trained constantly for disaster scenarios, nuclear attacks, missile launches, emergency evacuations, communication failures. Everything had to be rehearsed. Because if a real attack ever happened, there would be no time for mistakes. Life inside the mountain was also psychologically difficult. Imagine spending hours underground with no sunlight, no windows, no fresh outside air, only computer screens, military alerts, and the constant awareness that the world above could change in seconds. Many workers described the atmosphere as intense and surreal. The facility even included medical areas, sleeping quarters, fitness spaces, and food storage. In an emergency, personnel could remain sealed inside for extended periods. The underground complex functioned almost like a hidden city beneath the mountain, and all of it existed for one reason: to ensure the United States could continue operating during the unthinkable. Then came the 1990s. The Soviet Union collapsed. The Cold War officially ended. And suddenly, many people questioned whether Cheyenne Mountain was still necessary. After all, the massive nuclear conflict everyone feared had never happened. For a while, it seemed possible that the underground fortress would slowly become a relic of the past. But the world was changing again. New threats were emerging: terrorism, cyber warfare, long-range missiles from unstable governments. And military officials believed America still needed a hardened emergency command center. Then came September 11th, 2001. The terrorist attacks shocked the United States, and national security instantly became a top priority once again. Suddenly, protected military facilities like Cheyenne Mountain seemed important all over again. Security around the complex increased, and interest in the underground base returned. However, in 2006, Many of NORAD's day-to-day operations were moved to Peterson Air Force Base. Some people assumed this meant Cheyenne Mountain was shutting down. But that was not true. The underground complex remained operational. Today, it still serves as an alternate command center and military backup facility. And according to officials, the base can still be activated during emergencies. Even now, the mountain remains heavily protected. Public tours are no longer available. Security checkpoints guard the entrances, and many details about the current operations remain secret. But over the years, some information about the facility has become public. The underground complex reportedly stores massive amounts of water and fuel. Special air filtration systems can protect against biological and chemical threats. Power systems can continue operating even if outside infrastructure fails. The facility was also designed to withstand electromagnetic pulses. An EMP attack could disable electronics across large areas, but Cheyenne Mountain was specifically engineered to protect critical military systems from that type of disaster. The deeper you look into the facility, the more unbelievable it sounds. A hidden military city, buried inside a mountain, built to survive the collapse of the outside world. And perhaps the strangest part is this: most Americans drive through their daily lives without ever thinking about it. Yet beneath a granite mountain in Colorado, military personnel continue monitoring the skies, watching for threats, preparing for emergencies, and staying ready for situations the public hopes never happen. The existence of Cheyenne Mountain reveals something important about human history. During times of fear, nations prepare for worst-case scenarios. The Cold War pushed governments to imagine unimaginable disasters, and Cheyenne Mountain became one of the ultimate symbols of that fear. But it also became a symbol of survival, a place built not to start war, but to endure it. Today, technology has evolved far beyond what existed in the 1960s. Modern satellites monitor the planet. Advanced radar systems scan the skies. Cyber warfare has become a new battlefield. And yet, despite all modern technology, governments still value hardened underground facilities. Because no matter how advanced the world becomes, leaders know one truth. In a real global crisis, secure command centers could become critical once again. That is why Cheyenne Mountain still matters. Not because it belongs to the past, but because military planners believe the dangers of the future may be just as unpredictable. And maybe that's why the mountain continues to fascinate people around the world. Because hidden beneath thousands of feet of granite is more than just a military base. It is a reminder of humanity's greatest fears, the fear of nuclear war, the fear of sudden destruction, the fear that civilization itself could disappear in a single day. But at the same time, Cheyenne Mountain also represents determination, preparation, and survival. Even after decades, the underground fortress remains active, silent, hidden, waiting. And somewhere inside that mountain, military personnel continue watching the skies above North America, just in case. Because if the unthinkable ever happens,